promoted in this society right now, well, it's not even being promoted in this society. What is being promoted to black folk is individualism.
Yes, sir.
While every other group is being organized around group consciousness. Every other group is concerned about the prosperity and even the supremacy of their own group. Black folk are still trying to be multiracial, multicultural, multi-everything, and are reluctant. We even had a group of black men who ran for office in this last midterm election, and all of them ran as white men. And they said that they were they were going beyond race. Now, beyond race couldn't possibly mean, well, I don't know what beyond race means, because it didn't mean that they were broadening their appeal. As I understand it, when you go beyond race, that means you stop talking about certain kinds of things. You stop talking about yourself. So you don't broaden your scope, you narrow your scope in order to get beyond race. But I need you to be clear, what they mean by beyond race is they ran as whites. When they ran as white men, they lost, which is going to cause some of them to rethink. And even more so, it's going to cause the Democrats and the Republicans to rethink whether or not they need those Negroes, because they couldn't win beyond race. Every other group in this society is focused on group progress, while we are promoting individualism. So black people think that we are making progress because there's a black guy running Time Warner. You know, black people are gratified because Ken Parsons, I believe is his name, who runs Time Warner, or not Ken, Richard Parsons. And so black people are gratified. Black people are happy because Oprah is rich. You know, black folk are pleased because there's a black guy, Ken Chenault, is the head of American Express. As though that has something to do with your American Express account. But when any other group promotes group progress, all right. So you are here because you understand that. You are here because you understand that everything black has been pushed to the margin. Everything black is now unacceptable, problematic. And what we are saying is that we've got to bring black back. We've got to put black back on the mainstream. When the sister talked about the young people who don't want to hear it, it's not just that they don't want to hear it, they are hearing something else. There's another set of values that are being promoted. Even how we scrutinize ourselves. We scrutinize ourselves from an anti-black position to begin with. You know, I just was reading a review of a book about the Black Power movement where the guy says that the problem with the movement was that Black Power alienated white folk. That the civil rights movement was compassionate and could show how you could nonviolently organize people, nonviolently organize farmers and grassroots organizations. The Black Power movement was adamant and mean-spirited. So the movement was the problem, not the behavior of the oppressor. So when we scrutinize it, they can actually examine our movement and say to us that the problems that we had with not making enough progress is that we have not come up with a movement that is comfortable with the oppressor. So we are required to come up with a movement and a language and a style that is comfortable to the oppressor, rather than look at the behavior of the oppressor. Here's what we're saying. We are being sold another trick, but it is being sold very skillfully, very smoothly, very subtly, and many of us buy into it. We are being sold racial tolerance rather than racial justice. See, racial tolerance is a black guy can run for senator, or a black guy can be the head of a major white corporation. Racial tolerance is they will use a black person's name as a possible candidate for the presidency, like they did with Ed Brooke, and then with Colin Powell, and now with Barack Obama. That's racial tolerance. See, racial tolerance says you can have white friends, live in integrated communities. They call them gentrified now. racial tolerance. But we have to make a clear distinction between racial tolerance and racial justice.